Draymond. I saw the Lakers sign Taurean Prince, and literally I laughed and thought to myself, like, damn. Do you remember Taurean Prince's impact?
No, I don't.
His
He's been on 10
career
teams
night,
in 10 years.
his career night was against the Lakers in that play-in game where he shot
Oh,
like 50% from three, had like 7 or 6 made 3-pointers. Like the Lakers are just still so hurt from that, so they went and signed him
mm.
after
Oh
all of
my
the like
gosh.
hype rumors too. But I digress, ladies and gentlemen. The Bitcoin ballers are back. It is free agency day. We are here right now live with you. I'm Q, Ulric over here.
I had to turn off my VPN. I was pretending I was in Colombia.
um, I guess let's dive right into it. So last week, I want to make sure we're all caught up. We spent a lot of time talking Porzingis. I think we neither of us convinced the other of our take. I have the right take, obviously, which is that Porzingis makes the Celtics worse. We got the bozo over here who thinks that for some reason they're actually better with him. So, well, time will tell. We talked Bradley
Time will
Beal.
tell.
I guess a couple other like smaller trades just to like highlight Joe Harris getting moved, opening up a lot of cap space for the Nets. I'd be curious to see like who they end up getting as a result of this. Um, but
So when you say Joe Harris was moved, you mean that
he
he
got
did not
traded to the Pistons.
re-sign? Okay,
No, he
so
got
was it
traded to the
was it
Pistons.
an opt-in or did
He
he have
opted
1 year
in.
left?
He
Okay.
opted in. He gets like 20 million, but then it's technically 19.9 million. But then Detroit is sending a 19.9 million trade exception to Brooklyn so that they can just end up using that towards
Yeah.
signing a free agent. So they're going after someone.
No. Now they can't sign someone. They can trade for someone way beyond the trade threshold, but they just
Right.
can't.
You can
Oh,
you no, you can use a trade exception towards a free agent signing as well.
interesting. Okay.
So like I was reading about this and I like this is news to me, so it might have been a collective bargaining agreement shift, but it'll be really interesting to see the other side of this too. That Detroit was one of those like top 5 teams with cap space, and
Hmm.
like Joe Harris is solid. Like he's a good like number 5, number 6 in your
It's
rotation.
just money to burn. They had money to
Yeah,
burn. They put it somewhere. The same thing. They opted in with Alec Burke, who was very expensive veteran that wasn't really doing anything. It doesn't match the profile of what the Detroit Pistons are, but he's 6 years, 7 years older than everyone. But they had money. So what are you going to do? If you're not going to pull a big time free agent, you might as well overpay for a few serviceable veterans, and that's what they're doing.
all right. So let's start diving in because they're honestly like I just pressed refresh and saw all of the deals that just sort of came to be. Um, let's just do you want to start on some of these deals or should we go back to there? I think there are a couple more trades that we can highlight. And then Harrison Barnes also resigned.
Harrison
Um,
Barnes signed for about 16 million a year. I find that to be. I was surprised because I thought, like I
18.
talked about the Pistons with the profile. I don't think that he fits with the team. Just from an age perspective, I think that they could get a lot from Trey Lyles. I think his first name is
Yep.
Lyles. In the minutes that Barnes plays, I think they could get a similar amount of production for a fraction of the cost. Lyles is, I think, getting 3 million a year, and I'm surprised. I mean, of course, it creates depth, but you know, I felt like they could have found value elsewhere, potentially a sign and trade, but maybe there was no market for him.
Maybe. I mean, it's not. He technically can't be traded until what December? Because once you sign a new deal, you kind of have to stay. There's like that requirement. Like
It's-
they
mhm,
probably just want to run him back. Like their team played really well.
yeah.
They have a young core. He's a veteran, a champion, so he like kind of understands at least on one championship run how it's done. So he has some value add. And again, it's one of those things where all right, you go through the first half of the season and things aren't gelling the way you would anticipate if it's not looking like last year, they'll move on from him. I can see a world where he actually doesn't finish this contract in Sacramento, because this is also a very movable contract too. Like, this isn't a big commit, 18 million a year. Like that.
Potentially a gap filler for any playoff bound team needing veteran depth.
But let's talk. I want to talk Draymond. I just want to get right to it because
I'm going to hide my eyes. That's why I'm wearing glasses.
So we've been talking about this all week. We started a Telegram. Shout out Ulric for organizing it. Shout out Mark Goodwin in the audience. Just if you want to join these conversations, feel free to come join us in Telegram. But I am of the camp that while Draymond is not going to be leading you in points in a night, he might not even lead you in rebounds, but he's like one of those weird bigs that like on occasion leads the night in assists and is capable of guarding probably, I would say, 2. If you needed him to guard a 1, you could, but like I'd rather him guard a 2. So he can guard all the way from 2 to a 5, essentially perimeter down low. There is an aspect of Draymond's game where he is genuinely like the missing puzzle piece for a lot of teams. And if the Warriors were to lose him, they would not even be in the realm of conversation for a championship run. Like, Steph and Clay are not getting this done on their own with Chris Paul. Like, that trio is not getting this done. But Draymond elevates them to at least a level of you have to respect them enough to not just write them off. I was interested to see if he maybe goes somewhere like Portland or Lakers. I saw a take asking him to go to Sacramento of all places. His heart was always in the Bay Area. Moving on from Jordan Poole was kind of a sign. The crazy thing for me is how much they're going to pay in luxury tax. And I hate to use the same take twice, but like if they struggle, if they're healthy, but like barely get into the playoffs, like they're a play-in team or even like miss the playoffs and they're healthy, Draymond is getting traded.
No, they, in my opinion, they just ruined the ability for him to get traded with 25 million a year on a declining player. Now they have 2 of them. So congratulations, the Warriors are about to set up a trend for multiple declining vets with a has-been roster with no chance at a future. They trade Wiseman 1 year, they trade Poole another year. They Draymond Green ran his potential successor out of town 3 years ago, Eric Pascal. It's like no one in the NBA remembers that guy, when Draymond Green was out, averaging 14 points a game. Essentially looks like Draymond Green. Draymond was so appalled that he made sure that once he ran him out of Golden State, went to Utah, he made sure he'd never get a job in the NBA again. Draymond Green is a mobster, and he took full advantage of a weak new GM, just like they did to trade Poole. He is declining in all stats, in all regards. And particularly the most important thing, which I think is important to note, win shares over 48 minutes normalized. And so what you'll see is you'll see the Warriors basically were using Draymond Green as a backup point guard, a person to take the pressure off of the dribbling needed from Steph Curry. Now they traded away the only other shot creator there, which is Jordan Poole. They have to rely more so on Draymond. They brought Chris Paul in, but when you bring Chris Paul in to be the backup point guard, it's actually takes away the value proposition of what you mentioned from Draymond. He gets 7 rebounds, 7 points, 7 assists a game. So we talk about, oh, he's so valuable. When you have Chris Paul who could get 8 assists, now you don't need those assists from Draymond. You'll see his assists will go down. So because Chris Paul's going to have more ball handling responsibility, which you saw is, same thing with Steph Curry. He's going to have more ball handling responsibility because the Warriors are just a shell of themselves. You put 25 million on top of the salary cap, which could be 2.5 for every $1 on the basically on the Draymond Green contract. You saw what the Clippers did with Eric Gordon. They waived him. They saved themselves 100 million on top of his $20 million contract. It's a good business move. The Warriors went in the opposite direction. A bad business move, a bad basketball move because they already have a point guard. It's ugly, and I'm wearing glasses because I feel like I'm in a funeral for the Golden State Warriors.
I mean, trading Jordan Poole for Chris Paul already made the Warriors worse.
So they
they
said,
were
why not just full dive?
there's a level of like, you know what this deal kind of reminds me of? Do you remember it was before Kobe tore his Achilles when he signed that 2-year max
2-year,
deal?
$45 million. This is exactly the same thing, except the Warriors are doing it 5 times worse because they're doing 2 players for this albatross deal.
Well, no, they didn't. They didn't give Chris Paul his deal, so that's not fair. They went out and
They
traded for
they
him.
went
So
they we'll take that.
they consciously were like, yeah, give us one of the worst contracts in the NBA this year,
Oh my gosh.
and we'll give you the guy who's gonna. And I'm gonna say this so many times because Jordan Poole is going to lead the league in scoring next year.
Close to, in my opinion. He
I
can
like.
get
I'm
Monta
putting
Ellis.
money. I'm putting money on it, but we're going to get to the Wizards in a second. But to kind of round out this conversation on the Warriors, like there's a little bit, I think, of like team loyalty being done here, where you have the coach, the star player, and possibly like some of the role players, at least those that are left, coming to the new GM and saying, like, we want our team. And
That's
you also
what, yeah.
like there's a little bit of dynamic too, where you got to remember the last dance is really fresh in a lot of NBA people's minds. And no exec ever wants to be remembered in that vein where it's like they blew up the best team in the league right after they just want like, no, the Warriors win a championship. No, but like they were a viable championship contender. I think they're
Do you understand
taking
what's going on here? This is like central banking. We're the Bitcoin ballers. This is central banking. What are they doing? They're perpetuating the fraud. So they're not gonna blow it up this year.
so
They're
you
gonna
don't
blow it up.
like the fact that a team is showing loyalty to a player.
They're gonna blow it up next year, bro. They're
I
gonna
I
blow
agree with
or
that.
the year
They're
after.
going to be
So
a
at some
play-in
point it's gonna be
team.
the last dance.
They're going to be a play-in team that might actually miss the playoffs because they'll lose the play-in games, which they did a couple years ago. Although that was when Clay was hurt and they weren't at full force, and Ja knocked them out after they lost the Lakers in the play-in. So there's a good chance that happens to them this season, in which case Chris Paul, he's already out next year anyways. His contract's up. Then they move Draymond. Then,
It's Chris Paul only 1 year. This is a 1 year.
well, it's like the last year remaining from years.
I thought he had one more after this.
All right. I'll
Sports
look that
drama.
up, but
Yeah, we have to keep pushing. We've been on the war. This is
yeah,
not a Warriors podcast.
no.
Them,
I do think
them bums suck, man. Let's keep going.
I do think all right, let's go to one of my favorite players, former Laker, Kyle Kuzma, which this one surprised me a little bit, but you did call this that he is going back to Washington, 4-year, $102 million deal. Him and Jordan Poole. I mean, that team is not even in the East is not making the playoffs. I'm sorry.
Nope.
But Jordan Poole will lead the league in scoring. Kyle Kuzma may lead the league in shot attempts. Like it may be something like weird like that. Look, Kuz could end up being an all-star.
I
Like
think both are. I think one of them will be an all-star. Not if
one will
depending on
if
their
they're
record. Yeah.
if they're in a playoff position, they both will. But if they're not, Poole, because he again is going to lead the league in scoring next season. Because who else other than him and Kuz are going to score?
That's right.
So for Kuz, who's won a championship, like, look, I spent 4 years in DC. It's a fun town. It's not like where I would want to post up. If I was Kuz personally, I wouldn't hate the idea of, I don't know, going for a championship,
But he
but
got the championship.
you win one young and now all you want to do is cash in. So like respect, love the player, love the deal. I don't even like hate like spending 25K for Kuz, who's honestly a more athletic Draymond and gives you very similar skill set and is much younger. Love that deal.
Yeah, you say a much more athletic Draymond. I mean, I don't think he has the same profile. He's 21. I mean, I don't like that comparison. I mean,
Fair.
at one point, I mean, he's 21 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. So he's not the point guard that you have in the Draymond profile. Even at Draymond's best, he wasn't anywhere near 21 points a game. I think he's a dangerous wing that can make an open three, but like you don't want him to be reliant on the three. And he's a good profile for being a leading scorer on a team that essentially is mid, and that's okay. And coupled with a good shot creating guard, they're going to be dangerous, and they're going to be dangerous in a fun but not dangerous on a daily basis, not in the grand scheme of things. So fun I called that he was going to get 5 years, 135. I was thinking that, hey, the Wizards have the ability to throw a max deal at him. Now they have some optionality. So good on the Wizards' behalf on trying to say on saving a year, which will potentially give them an opportunity to trade him if it's going sideways. I don't know what Poole's contract is, but I guess it's probably 3 years or 2 years left. So it puts them the Wizards in, sort of they're making decisions again in the next 3 years. It's a good setup for them going forward. Very tradable assets. Not when you look at that 25 million a year, who's more tradable, Kyle Kuzma or Draymond Green? It's like Kuzma is going to be a much better when both of those guys are up. Hey, you want to go to the playoffs? Here's a guy for fire sale. They'll be able to ask for much more for Kuzma than Green. I am positive. So yeah.
I don't doubt that. I think like while his box score doesn't show up in that way, like he's not a pass first type of forward the way Draymond is. I think a part of that though, his skill set, like he has
Yes.
the ability to make these
Ball
incredible
handling. Yes.
dude, his cross court passing is actually brilliant. And that is a very rare trait for a big, but it's a huge value add. It is, in my opinion, what separates a starting caliber big man and a role player big man is, can you make those dime passes across the court? Because
Kevin
then I can
Lovish.
Kevin Love, like, well, that's more that I'm not talking the outlet pass. I'm
Okay.
talking like from like one, like from the corner to the opposite elbow. I can get the ball to you if I see that pass and if I see that lane. Kuz is actually really good at that pass. He just is relied on to score more than Draymond, but he has taken the back seat, especially when he's had players like LeBron. But regardless, I want to keep us going here
Mm.
because there's a lot of news coming in. Um,
Oh, do
just
me a favor. Do me a favor. You didn't see it, but make sure send me the link of what you're tracking so we can talk about it at the same level. If you have something that you're updating, some blog,
I'm
let's
just
make sure.
I'm just
There
right
you go.
now. I want to start with
Oh,
like the deals that are closed, that are
gotcha.
closing or being announced, and then the second half we're going to go over to
I got
like
you.
speculation stuff. Um, Kobe White staying in Chicago. I kind of think most people were expecting that.
That's
Uh,
interesting to me, in my opinion. I felt like there was a
really?
possibility for I take that back. I forgot. They have a bunch
Lonzo's
of
out.
shooting guards.
Yeah, Lonzo's out for the year.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Lonzo's out for the year.
That's right.
Like they were going to bring him back. It's only a 2-year deal, so I think
Is it
it is like.
2 year with the player option? Because I thought I saw three.
Oh
I
no,
saw
you're right.
3 year.
It's 3 year.
Okay.
It is a 3-year deal. I lied. I'm a liar.
It's okay.
Um, I digress. So I kind of expected that because of the Lonzo injury. Um, personally, it doesn't move the needle for me, but Drew Eubanks, who was on Portland, has signed with Phoenix. So you're starting to see how they round that lineup out a little bit more. I just think it's helpful. You're getting some front court depth, which that's where they lack. But like that, for all we know, we could be talking about Drew Eubanks come May or June of next year. So it's like these little puzzle pieces. One of these is going to be the right one that either makes or breaks the Sun season.
So I was analyzing him in particular because there's a lot of talk with Lillard, especially talking with our guest Weinickus last week, talking about, you know, what would it take to get Lillard to Miami. Nurkic was involved in the discussion. When you compare Nurkic to Eubanks, Eubanks is a slightly better offensive player, especially in the 2 to 10 foot range. And that counts because they're both centers. They're both 6'10", 250. So when they're making that jump hook, they're making that play, that roll play to the rim. If you expect them to make a contested shot, you're going to rely on Eubanks a little more. So now you look at the Suns, they're creating resiliency or backstopping their center position. You have Eubanks, you have the other
They
taller
just
white guy.
they just signed Chimezi Metu as well
Oh my
from
gosh.
from
So
Phoenix,
so some
from
oh
Sacramento.
so they have all these big 6'10" and up, and you have to wonder where does that place Aiton? Where does that place the other ones that were there? Or do they just let them walk? I think a couple of them. I think the backup for Aiton, I forget his name. He did pretty okay in the playoffs, soft hands. They just may let him walk. I don't think he's under contract. And then also the Blazers, if they're letting Eubanks go, that means Nurkic is kind of like they're making their bed with him, which means he's no longer unless they trade and get another center in replacement. You know, that takes him off the table as a package deal for a Lillard deal. So it's very interesting that it seems like it's a small movement, but it has multiple implications with other things that are being talked about.
I don't see, although maybe it could end up being like a blow up 3 team kind of trade, but I have a hard time seeing Jurkic and Dame before this deal being included together in some sort of a Dame trade. And then now, especially with this trade, I don't see a world where he gets moved.
I just
Jurkic
like the
especially.
I like the Miami with bringing Bam. Bam is the same age as the players in Portland, even though they wouldn't want to part with Bam. I'm like, look, if you want to match age with age, you have
No,
Lillard and Butler, but
no.
and Nurkic a little older, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Matching age with age is dumb in my opinion. Staggering your better players is the way to go. Like the way San Antonio did it. That's the ideal way. You let each of your main guys have their prime in different eras so that you can maintain dominance over the course of a decade plus.
Those guys the Heat ain't maintaining dominance over any time. It's
You
either
really
win
don't
or
think, pause. You don't think that if they maintain Bam Adebayo for the entirety of his career and continue to develop him in the way they've proven they can develop homegrown talent, that they will not eventually, once Jimmy Butler retires, if Bam is still there growing into his own form, they're not going to be able to find someone else to be pairing Bam with and then continue to maintain that?
no, I don't think that's guaranteed. I think that you have what you have is a I don't want
Nothing's
to call him a
guaranteed, but that's
generational.
the formula, man.
I don't want to call him a generational talent, but you have the opportunity. You've seen the trend where you can win now with Jimmy Butler, with bringing in the generational talent that Lillard is. You could potentially maximize your potential to win now, and one championship now is greater than the chance of 8 down the road.
Fair, but I don't see a world where Pat Riley is trading Bam for Dame. I think his goal is Dame, Bam, and Jimmy as a trio.
Yeah,
And
and I would say
everyone else is on the table.
yeah,
But
and I don't think, and I wouldn't. If I was Portland, I wouldn't part with Dame unless I'm getting Bam. So I think that would be an impasse, and it seems like there will be. They probably made that understanding with letting Eubanks go, and sticking with Nurkic.
Let's keep it going
Yep.
though. We have Karis LeVert. This was one that you were concerned about. He is staying in Cleveland. They're bringing the squad back, and this was one of the teams that I've been sort of very vocal. Hey, it was an early season trade, but it was a post training camp trade to go get Donovan Mitchell. So give them a full training camp, and this becomes a very scary team very quickly, especially with the 76ers potentially blowing themselves up. You like this is a top three team. Cleveland is with the Celtics and the Bucks next season. I guess top four. You got to throw Miami back, but Miami kind of they prove they can sputter in the regular season. They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Miami is a playoff team focused, which is what a lot of the veteran teams will want to be, which is surprising as Miami's so young. But again, veteran front office. Karis LeVert, my projection, I'm not going to lie, I thought he could potentially earn a lot more on a bad team, though. So going back to, I don't want to say proven, but a team that has championship aspirations, I'm not surprised he took less. But with the 2 years, it gives both him and the team optionality. Hey, if I don't like this feel, I can go dribble the ball a bunch somewhere else, which is what he is. He's a dribbler. I see him as a shot creator for himself, potentially others. But again, I've never thought that he really fits with that team with two ball dominant guards. He comes in and kind of second or even fourth fiddle sometimes. I think he has the talent to be better, but that talent would come at the cost of wins. I think he's okay with trying to win, and he's still making a decent amount of money with some options in the near future. He can play free agency again. I don't know if there's an option at the end of this year, but I think both the team and the player benefit from this signing.
All right, we got honestly. There's been a lot of breaking news,
Yeah,
so I want to run through a few of these really quickly,
yeah,
and
real
then
quick.
we'll break them all down. So Torian Prince, actually we talked about that one. All right, Jeremiah Grant, he's going back to Portland, 5-year deal.
Jeremy.
Jeremy Grant for $160 million 5-year deal. Jeremy Grant, who previously had that sort of coveted spot that the next free agent had on Denver before he went and signed a big contract with Detroit. So he's getting his big money deal. Bruce Brown going to the Pacers on a very nice deal for him, 45 million 2-year deal. Chris Middleton gets an extension of 102 million for 3 years. Cam Johnson's re-signing to stay in Brooklyn for 108 million for 4 years, and Kyrie is going back to Dallas for 126 million over 3 years. Thank you.
Interesting.
Thank you, Mark Goodwin. Anyone else watching on YouTube, feel free to pound the like button. Make sure you subscribe. If you're over on Twitter, hop on over to YouTube. We're having more fun over here. We'll talk to you in the chat.
Yeah.
You pick which one of those deals you want to talk about.
Well, I didn't see Mark Goodwin mentioned Middleton. I don't see the numbers. What's the numbers for that?
Middleton was 102 for 3 years.
Interesting. So I called Middleton. I thought he was going to get a lot more money, but it's kind of I get that 3 years, 102 million is 30 something a year. I thought he'd make closer to 40, but he has been injured and he's limited. He's kind of like a one dribble shooter. He's staying with the team. In my opinion, once that contract's over, he's probably going to be a little too injured and old to earn a big chunk of money. So that's a good deal for the team. I thought Jeremy Grant was going to get about that much. I call.
One at a time. One at a time.
Oh,
I will say there is validation for just like bring this team back. This is the team that had the best record in the
yeah.
regular season. Like this is your number two to arguably one of the best players in the league. Like you want to keep bringing this team back. I think though Giannis's contract is up after this upcoming season. So it is interesting to me that they're going to have Chris Middleton on for potentially like if they don't re-sign Giannis. But I think this is something where it's like you're keeping Giannis happy. You're showing, hey, we're going to keep this core together. Like let's keep going for runs at a potential championship. So I think that this deal makes sense for everyone. So all right,
Yeah.
Jeremy Grant,
Yeah.
go.
Jeremy Grant. Yeah. I mean, I think I called 5 years, 182. So he got 160. Um, that's he's in his prime. I don't think he's in a I need to go win a championship. He's playing really good. He puts up numbers. If his team makes it to the playoffs or not, it's just beside the point right now. Like, he's more of like, call me when I'm 33 when you want to talk about winning a ring. So that's good for him. What else, what are your thoughts on that?
I just think it's intriguing because it's like this guy could very well become like your highest paid player on your team once if Dame leaves. And what I'm more curious about is how much Dame views Jeremy Grant as a potential like this is a contract. I think I'm learning the new ranges and like anywhere from 25 to 30 million dollars a year, which when we were kids back in the day of 10 years ago, that was the max a player was getting on a team.
Mhm.
That now is like your number 3 option. That's the money you allocate for the number 3 guy on your team. Draymond is in that range. Kuz is in that range. Jeremy Grant's in that range. Even Chris Middleton is in that range. So, with that in mind, does Damian Lillard think that Jeremy Grant is a viable number 3 option on a championship team? Or is he someone that you're going to hold on to until it's time to move him in a couple of years to a championship team after you've already moved on from Dame? That's just sort of that's how I'm looking at this trade or this deal. Um,
I think it gives the team options. I think it's both. I think he's good enough to be a good player, and he's a tradable asset, and he'll always be because he's very athletic, and his shot making is growing. And he's not going to slow down that much because he's not like a Blake Griffin type. So
right.
he's going to sustain his level of athleticism that you expect. He can run, he can play defense, he could score.
I think though that my issue with him is that he played really well when he was in Denver. And then he goes to Detroit and becomes like a number 2 kind of guy and then starts to disappear.
Does he disappear because he's just in Detroit? I mean, I'm looking at his
Like
stats right now. Like Detroit, he was 22 points a game. Detroit, 22 points a game. I'm sorry, 22, 19, and 20.
on 40
He's
on 42% shooting from the field.
And
Like,
in
yeah, if
Portland,
I
he does much better.
but that's what I'm saying because you're
Yeah.
like in Detroit, like yeah, you had Cade Cunningham, but like he was once Cade went down, like you were kind of relying on this guy,
Hmm.
and he couldn't really hack it as that 1 or 2. When you had him in Portland, he's really the de facto 3 because you have Dame and you have Jurkic, so you're not seeing those same.
20 points a game is when Jurkic is 12 points a game. That's not the number two guy.
Fair,
Like he's the
fair,
number 2 guy.
fair.
He did a great job last season, and I would want to give him credit on that.
I guess.
He's a scoring wing, a scoring and defending wing. He's not going to get you a bunch of rebounds.
But
That's a
he's not.
Jurkic job.
The question is if he is going to get you a championship, committing this much of your salary to him, and
Nope.
that's the point. That's the point I'm trying to get to. Is
They
that
don't
he's
have
not
fun. They got to spend it, or they lose him because someone else would pay him. So then now you're really stuck in the dumps. And
then
so that's
why?
where they should go. Lillard would be very displeased.
I guess
He wants
Dave really thinks that Jeremy Grant is going to be the key for him
at
to win
least
a
to win
championship.
at least
Right.
win 40 games or 30 or 38. I mean, you don't want to be I mean, it hurts to lose every night and you're 34 years old. You're going to be flipping tables. At least J- Jeremy Grant will keep you exactly where you are, a 9, 10 seed, and every
They
other
weren't.
game.
They were 13 seed
eh,
or
uh,
12 seed.
Dame was also out of most of
No,
the
I
season.
know, but
It's a tricky situation because the problem is Lillard should not be there. You can't place a round peg in a square hole. Lillard should be shipped out. But it's hard because they're being greedy. They want to maximize their value. They should just say, you know what? We drafted all these young players. Let's trade them for a bunch of draft picks and a bag of chips, like Beal was traded to Phoenix, and let's just wipe our hands of the situation. Then guess what? There's no pressure. There's still, with Lillard still there, there's pressure. And everyone's going to be looking at Portland in an irresponsible way. There's no reason we should be looking at Portland at all. We shouldn't be talking about them.
All right, so let's stop talking about them. Let's go. Let's go over to this one. Kind of breaks my heart a little
Uh-oh.
bit. Bruce Brown, Pacer.
Oh,
Once I saw
go
the
ahead.
rumors that the Lakers were going to go after him, albeit like offer their full mid-level exception,
12 million something. Yeah.
the two thoughts I had in my head are: A, that's not enough money. B, how freaking awesome would it be if we got him? He went and got the bag. Like I I have nothing but respect for players who, after winning a championship, go and get paid, because he is a quality player who will be a starter from day one on a Pacers team that is trying to find their identity still, but they're improving. It'll be interesting. Like, this team is a lot better, but it's only better if they're keeping Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, who are constantly on the trade block, it seems. At a certain point, I'd like to just see what the Pacers look like between those three, and then Halliburton as well. Like, in the East, like that's a solid squad. Like, you're not getting home court advantage. You're maybe vying for a play-in spot, but you're vying for a play-in spot in the East. So if he went to a contender, that moves the needle, in my opinion, but they're just not a contender.
It moves the needle for them. He's a good player, and he fits in with a ball dump with a playmaking point guard. He's sort of like this that new style utility. Is very Draymond Greenish, but in the guard format. He has long arms, and he showed how much more he could do with Denver versus the Nets. Like, he was very hidden on the Nets because of all the ball dominant players they had, Kyrie, Harden, and Durant. He won a championship. Even if he didn't win, he proved that he was a legitimate NBA player. This guy, I don't even know if he was a high draft pick. He's a late second round pick. So to do what he's done over the last 2.5 years, he's proven that he is absolutely a necessary piece on any NBA team. Good job of making good money. Good job on the team keeping their options open. With the Pacers, who are rebuilding, they don't know what their team is going to look like in 2 years, and they keep their books clear in a short matter of time, while compensating the guy for a job well done. So, the Lakers, again, I was surprised that the Denver Nuggets, based on the rules in the NBA, could only offer him $7.8 million. I'm like, there's no way they're keeping him around. So
No.
for the Lakers to even have a shot, I was like, good. But again, teams with money to spend. If he went to the Rockets, I wouldn't have been surprised. So good for him.
Yeah, the Rockets will be interesting to watch over this postseason. What I'm more interested in, and this is probably why the Nuggets won the championship, because, like, who fits this mold of like the playing style? KCP, who is also on the Denver Nuggets. So, like, there's a level of this where I wonder, can the Nuggets will survive this, but by how
Survive
much?
meaning a ring, maybe not.
This could be the difference between repeating and not. Absolutely. They needed to get ready to have to pay Jamal Murray, though. So this is a part of it, and they're sort of structuring who they bring back. But who's that white rookie that they had too? That was nice.
Brown
Well,
is still spelled
yeah,
a different way. It's Brown, yeah.
right. Like, look, he wasn't your perimeter defender, but he was able to score buckets when it was called upon him, which, at least on the offensive end, that's what Bruce did for them. Obviously, like, that defensive presence is massive, but you still have Aaron Gordon. You still have
Right.
KCP. Like, who knows about oh my
What
god,
they'll bring in.
what's Michael Porter Jr. Like, I'd like to see him develop more defensively,
which he
but
could, and
he
offensively.
he absolutely. Well, I'm more concerned about like filling the gap for Bruce Brown on the defensive end for the
Mhm.
Nuggets because that's where his biggest impact was for them. But if you can at least have Porter Jr. like make a step, he doesn't
Okay.
need to make a stride, just a step. I think you have enough pieces there that still hold the perimeter D down enough that, like, on a rare occasion of honestly a team like the Warriors, where you have the best backcourt in the game, like you might run into problems there. But
Did
other th-
what?
oh, Steph and Clay,
They're still the best backcourt in the game.
maybe Luca and Kyrie.
Mm.
Who do
There's a
you think?
couple. I mean, like, if I were to just look at the NBA teams right now without looking at the players, where are the point guards? I mean, the Hawks, I would say, no, okay, never.
No,
Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. Trey
I'm
Young and what's his name from
Murray.
San Antonio? They're better than Steph and Clay right now. Clay
Oh
is
my
just
God,
s-
stop! I'm
Clay
about
is
to
not
mute you.
Clay is not there, man.
But there's
Stop
still a
living in the past.
God, but there's still the threat.
The
You still have to.
threat. They're not. Clay is not that guy anymore. We shouldn't be talking about this. But Clay didn't do that bad last year. But maybe I just hate the Warriors.
You just hate
Okay.
you hate the
What did
Warriors
Good
so
what did
bad.
Goodwin say? DWJB? Who's that?
I don't know. But let's talk real quick, Cam Johnson, because we're dragging on
Yeah.
a little bit
Oh yeah
on
yeah yeah
on
yeah.
the
yeah.
Cam Johnson resigns for 108 million.
Gotta pay
Cool,
him.
cool. Like the Nuggets, just I mean the Nets, which is also one of Ulric's secret favorite teams. Like they need like a star. They got a lot of good role players that they can trade
Mikal
for it.
Bridges is going to be probably a East Coast starter next year. Uh, He's going to be Eastern Conference All Star.
All right. So, anyways, I apologize. I apologize for what you had to listen to. As I digress, the Nets need, I don't know, like a Dame Lillard to move themselves to another category of a team. And then you give someone like Mikal Bridges the chance at maybe making an all-star team for the first time in his
You're
career.
crazy. Did you see his numbers last year? Where is Mikal Bridges averaged 27 points, 26.1 points a game while he was in Brooklyn over 27 games. You don't think that that's going to carry over?
All
You
right.
don't think that
I'm
that's going
gonna
to carry over?
I was saving this for a speculation section, but
Go,
this
go,
is
go ahead.
I'm gonna tie this in to my James Harden take because and I'm gonna explain it to you and again, further validating my claim that Jordan Poole is probably gonna score 34, 35 points a game next season, leading the NBA in points scored. However, and this is the really important thing, NBA players all the way down to number 13 on the bench are some of the best basketball players in the world. Like if they played in against you, Ulrich, which I know you have, it is not like your freaking El Segundo League. It's not like the Working
They're
Part
all
League.
great. They're all
There,
great.
any one of these guys is capable of dropping 20, 25 points a night if the system and the coach lets them. Now, player like James Harden is a bucket. All right. He will score a bucket like a lot of players in the NBA. And James Harden has been the beneficiary of having systems allow him to be either the number one or number two option. So he goes and scores 30 or 25, 28 points per game. James Harden has proven that he can't win a championship when he leads the team in scoring. He can't win a championship when he's the number two option on a team. And the closest he actually ever came was when he was the de facto number three, but actually the sixth man of OKC when they went all the way to the finals and then lost to LeBron, giving him his first ever NBA championship. So, Mikal Bridges, who you think is going to be an all-star because he's going to be the best player on one of the worst teams in the NBA,
They won't.
they will
they're,
be. They will be.
they're gonna be a 7 seed.
They
They're
were
gonna.
only in the playoffs because Kevin Durant and Kyrie gave them that head start. Their record post that trade would have made them a non-playoff team.
What
So
was their record post trade? I mean, roughly, were they below 500?
well below 500.
Well
Well,
below.
well below. Like it was not like, oh, they missed it by a couple games. It was like 5 or 6 below
20.
500.
He's gonna average 27 and a half points a game. That's going to be enough for him to be, especially with the New York fan base. It's going to be enough for him to be an East Coast starter.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. But
Anyways,
we gotta.
the point I'm making is that
They're
some
not
of
winning
these
a
players,
championship. Yeah,
no, and they're not even making the playoffs. And if they're not a playoff
right.
team, he's not an all-star. All right,
That's not true. But go ahead.
moving on.
Hmm.
Kyrie Irving, 3 years, 126 million.
Does that hurt your heart?
Not really.
That doesn't hurt your heart.
No,
You want
like
Bruce Brown, but you don't want Kyrie Irving.
I wanted like Bruce Brown fits a puzzle piece for me. Kyrie Irving,
Is the
while
missing link.
while I love and respect Kyrie, like genuinely do, on and off the court,
Thank you
I
for that.
just what
Oh no, thank you for that. Off the court. That's right. By any means necessary.
I I have a hard time believing that Kyrie is the missing piece between the Lakers getting swept and then winning a championship. Bruce Brown is a player where I'm like, oh, if we had Bruce Brown and everyone else back, we're winning the shit.
No,
So
because you still would have had D'Angelo Russell hiding in the short corner, not being with his $35 million this year, not being active. So at least with Kyrie, you have a guy that.
interesting breaking news.
Oh no.
Interesting. I don't know how I feel.
Oh no.
Gabe Vincent, 33 million, 3-year deal going to the Los Angeles Lakers. So we have our answer,
Oh wow.
at
That's
least on Schroeder, D'Lo. One of those guys is not coming back now.
That's funny because that's exactly what I put in the spreadsheet. I said that Gabe Vincent would pull off 3 years, 33 million, but I thought he would go back to the Miami Heat. So you can give me a high five. We have a timestamp on that sucker. I'm just saying. I can you can call me Pat Riley. You know, I grew up in this town. I,
I'll give you credit for that.
Good for the
I, I
Lakers.
I like this. I like this a lot. I like this a lot.
Value because guess
Way
what? Yeah, go ahead.
way what this also actually means to me though, we're not going after Fred Van Fleet, and I really like that. I
Thank that
really I did not
100%.
want to chase that.
I'd rather keep D'Lo.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw J-Dub the Laker, 21 million. My Lakers brother. Honestly, Brooke Lopez is the missing piece here. All we need is Brooke, and I'm good. Bring back D'Lo because I think we
You
can.
can't now.
Oh, we can't now. All right,
No,
then bring back Schroeder
that doesn't
and
fit. No,
but
D'Lo's gone.
bring Schroeder. Bring Schroeder and we're good.
I wouldn't be.
Bring
It'd be
Schroeder.
nice to sign and trade D'Lo as someone who really needs him for some pieces. I don't know
I
if.
would not hate that.
Oh, with a $35 million contract to a team that wants to give him a new start. There's a couple places, including the Philadelphia 76ers for Mr. Harden.
I do not want James Harden.
I
I
mean,
don't.
you don't want James Harden, but Gabe Vincent showed that he would be a good combo guard. Not you don't know if he can produce the numbers that Harden can put up. You know that
I
Harden
don't.
is 19 and 10. You don't like his 19 and 10. I understand 20 and 10. He'll scale down because he's another year older. But the Lakers need depth in the backcourt. They need ball handling and shot creation because you don't want to have LeBron dribbling nonstop. This is why the Warriors, as stupid as it is, they overpaid for a backup point guard, but they brought in Chris Paul. Why? Because Steph Curry needs time to dribble. I mean, Steph Curry needs time to run around and not dribble. It burdens you to have to dribble. Vincent, Reeves, Harden, supporting LeBron could be a potential situation where LeBron says, "You know what? I like this."
Unless Harden is like full blown third fiddle, like and accepts third
He
fiddle.
is.
But dude, Harden to the Lakers is has shades of Westbrook to the Lakers. And that wound is still fresh with me. And I am not a fan of taking players who have a high utility rate or high
Usage.
usage rate and bringing them on and then expecting similar production on lower usage. It never works that way. It has literally never worked that way, with the exception of Ray Allen, because Ray Allen is a spot up shooter. So if Harden turns into like, hey man, I'm gonna just fucking sit here in the corner, I don't want to do jack shit. Cool. We're paying too much for a spot up shooter, in my opinion, if you take on that $30 million
I'm
deal.
saying that I don't want him to spot up shoot. I want him to cook. I want
I
him to
know.
cook, and I want LeBron to stop. I want LeBron to stop. Because guess what?
You
All
want
these
LeBron to be
guys,
the number 3 on this team.
remember, all of these guys, they're not playing. They are projecting themselves. You know what? How am I going to get to 65 games? And it ain't going to work out like that, because every one of them got hamstring or mental issues. So you have to oversaturate yourself with guys who can go get it. Now, and then J Dub is talking about how you saying he's a much better situation than Russell Westbrook in the catches, because James Harden can make a contested and create shots for himself.
He's a
Russ
shooter.
Westbrook
He can
can't.
shoot.
He
Westbrook's
can't.
just a slasher.
He
I
can
get I get that.
limited. So what I'm saying is that complete, and guess what? LeBron, now when he drives, he doesn't have to say, "Oh, I can't pass to that guy." No, you could pass to James Harden all day long. And that's why the Sixers were where they were. Remember, Embiid was an MVP caliber, not just by himself, because he also had the league leader in assists there. Now, if you take, now I'm not I'm just thinking, if D'Lo is expecting $35 million, 36, and you package D'Lo with some other guy, I don't know who, I don't know the Lakers contracts, but you say, hey, Harden wants out, Harden wants to come back to LA, D'Lo is kind of like iffy, obviously not that guy in the playoffs. I'm not saying that Harden is that guy, but LeBron is that guy, and maybe you can only have so many that guys. We have to
Yeah.
take the opportunities where they come, and you have to consolidate that talent in a small package. You can't say, you know what, instead of Harden, we're going to get 4 role players. They won't see that's the Nets. They won't see the floor. So you got to put. We still haven't seen big money from the Lakers, and they have a big money contract. You don't want it to go to D'Lo. I'm
Well,
just saying.
they did offer Reeves 50 for 4 years.
Ooh, that's okay, because that's within their
Usually what these teams do is like they'll make the agreement with like all these guys that they
right,
can sign last for those deals. So like Reeves probably won't
right.
pen his contract for another month while the Lakers try to like sort everything else out. And then of course he could still go and sign a bigger like he hasn't agreed
That's right.
to
So
that deal.
they'll go into the tax, but it's either I think they don't. I think they signed Reeves first. No, they have to sign the new guys first. They have to sign the
Yes.
new guys first, and then the old guys last. So
Yep.
I don't mind how much they pay Reeves. I hope they keep Rui, Reeves, Vanderbilt. They've already got rid of the guys that are expected, Beasley and Bamba.
And
They
Troy
and Troy
Brown.
Brown went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Those are not those. All 3 of those. There's like, okay, yeah, those are
Irrelevant.
throwaways. If
Yeah.
they need, I guarantee there will be one more big play. Harden looks like it. Guess what? Unless it's a sign and trade for Lillard, you never know. Because it's big. D'Angelo's big money, and that means that it's going to elicit big money somewhere else. He's still sitting there, a sign and trade, sending him somewhere else. He actually fits the profile with the Trailblazers. Again, the Trailblazers aren't looking to, they just aren't winning, but they can be a fresh 20 something team right now that will grow and fill in their roles as they age. Lillard to the Lakers is still in play.
I just think my fear with the Lillard move is it's going to cost us Austin Reeves, because I think the contracts would line up much nicer
Mm-hmm.
if
Can they even trade him now if they sign him right now?
Well,
Would it be a
it
sign
could
and
be a
trade?
sign
Yeah.
and trade situation for everyone.
Yeah.
So there is a world where personally I think adding Reeves because the depth that he provides is too important. And if I gotta choose between
Reeves and
Dame
Damian Lillard.
Solo, if it's Dame Solo or I can have Reeves and
D'Lo.
Harden, no, Reeves
Oh,
and
Grayson.
Harden,
You would take?
I would take the Harden side of that because I'd rather
Good.
have Reeves. I
Right.
would like Reeves is again, it's one of those, he's a puzzle piece type of player who has impressed me not only in just like what he did last season, but like I remember watching him as a rookie. Like I've watched this kid develop, and I'm very, very proud to see how far he's come. But now my expectation is, bro, I'm not just paying you for what you've done. I'm paying you because I
What
expect
you
you to
could do.
I'm paying you because I think you can keep going.
He can.
So so
But
that
unless he becomes a Tebow and they figure his white ass out, which could be a possibility. No, I'm just playing. I'm
they
just
figured out Alex Caruso out, right? All
well,
NBA defensive
half
first team, Alex Caruso, who I still see that thinking that we let him go over THT.
well, if you didn't do that, then you would not have traded for Russell Westbrook, and then you would
We didn't
never
even
have.
trade for Russell Westbrook. That's the whole fucking point I'm trying to
Oh
make.
yeah, that's right. How did this
Literally,
happen?
Russell Westbrook, Kyle Kuzma, KCP, if they were still in the Lakers, I'm talking multiple championships.
Oh wow. Well,
I
maybe
said
Denver
it.
may not have won it. Yeah.
Denver definitely wouldn't have won it.
The
KCP was
Lake
integral for their championship
yeah, the
run.
Lakers would have made it to the finals to lose to Miami this year. That would
All
have been
right,
a
because that's what
heartbreak.
happened in the bubble too, right?
No, it would have been a redemption series.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah,
Jimmy would
yeah.
have got his ring. Ooh.
Bummer.
I'm just
Bummer.
trolling.
All
What
right.
else, man? What
Well,
else? What we
we're
didn't talk
going too
about.
far. Hang on, we're going too far on the speculative
Okay.
stuff. We haven't actually addressed Kyrie.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so this is a $40+ million contract to be
For
expected
per year.
per year, per year
Yeah.
for
3
three
years,
years. I,
126. Yep.
I think this is exactly like the range he was gonna get. I My expectation at least is that Luka kind of went to Dallas and is like, hey, we better be bringing Kyrie back. Like I want a chance to try to make this work. You already let Jalen Brunson once. And if we had kept him, I think we would have been in a much different position than what we were. Let's not make the same mistake twice. So I do think that there's a little bit of we messed something like this up before. Let's not get cute with it. And then also I just don't think there was a market for Kyrie.
The Lakers were, but not to that degree, right?
No,
Just
they were
they would ask him to accept much less when you're considering the parallel to he's not making D'Lo money. He's
no.
making 20% more than D'Lo. It's respect to him. I think, but 3 years, guess what? They keep their optionality. It's a you see there was a time when everyone was getting these 5-year deals, re-signing with their teams, and now 3 years here. Middleton only got 4 years. I'm not sure if there's an option involved. There is a clear sign of keeping options open for all parties. But remember, I think Kyrie said he wanted to go somewhere where he can retire, and this doesn't look like the retirement contract because he's still going to be 33 with a little bit of Uncle Drew in him still. So maybe that keeps their options to potentially trade him if it doesn't work out. I don't, that's always the case, but not right now.
Yeah, I think they want to run it back and see what they have with like again one of the arguable better best backcourts in the NBA. Another breaking. There
Again.
are two that just came in. One is Ulric's favorite team, the Orlando Magic, signing Joe Ingles for 22 million for the next 2 years. But then
Only if Ja's there.
this is an interesting one to me though. Mark, this one's for you. Kristaps Porzingis in Boston agree on a 2-year, $60 million extension. Jaylen Brown says, what? Um, I want to address the Porzingis one, not necessarily on like, I don't want to go down what we talked about last week all I really want to address is Jaylen Brown. This is a sign to me that they're not making a deal with Jaylen. And I think that they're going to lose Jaylen Brown. And they might trade him so that they don't lose him for nothing. But I think Jaylen Brown is out as a
Why is this a sign that the NBA has a soft cap? They can re-sign all their players for a whole bunch of money if they wanted to. They can re-sign Jalen and Tatum and Porzingis until the cows come home. This
no, they
is a
can't.
sign. This is a sign that they are committed to having somebody, and they don't want to be caught with their pants down. I think that Jaylen Brown, we've been talking about this since we started our podcast. He wants to he needs to go somewhere where it's a middling team and prove that he's that guy, which I think he can. And until then, they're going to be fun. J Dub says Porzingis and Boston about to be buckets. They will be, but we'll see who is happy with the buckets being made. If Brown's numbers go down, he may lash out in the locker room. We won't see it, but I think that they should trade him, and it will be fun to see more transactions as the season goes on. But I don't think that that will be happening until closer to the All-Star break.
Which is valid. I agree with that timeline. I think very firmly that Jaylen Brown is not going to be happy playing within this trio after his complaints last season already. And I think this deal is a sign, at least to me, that whatever conversations they've been having with Jaylen about the extension have been going south. And that to try to at least establish something, they went and made this deal. So I think ultimately we will look back on this, and I made my call months ago that Jaylen Brown will not be a Celtic for the entirety of his career. And I think I'm feeling very validated right now.
Good call, because I followed up with that. I didn't notice it until you said it. I'm like, yeah. And you know, as we don't always agree, but when we do, we have to
It makes for
realize
bad TV when we do, though.
that's right. We have to. Will the ratings hold up? Our
I,
1.0 ratings.
I
Go
want to
ahead.
give one quick shout out for another deal that came through. Utah Watanabe, the only alumni from my college that plays in the NBA, signing with the Phoenix Suns, future NBA champion Utah Watanabe.
Oh
I
man,
really like this deal. He's a big guy who can shoot.
run, pass, yeah,
Like
utility.
this is the type of role player the Suns need. So
How
I
much did
think
they get him for?
let me.
Mm,
It just says agreed on a deal with the
okay,
Phoenix Suns by
yeah,
Shams. I don't see
it's
a dollar figure
it's
there.
probably something low, probably 6 million ish, five
Yeah,
million ish. Okay,
which is great.
yeah.
That's all the Suns can afford. It's all minimum contracts, but I like it because this is a guy who he's probably going to get more minutes on the Suns than he ever has on any of his previous teams, and this is the perfect team for him to do it because if he's on the court, like, you're going to leave him open. So this is Utah's chance. So I'm rooting for my boy.
Suns chance.
No, this is Utah's. He is going to, for the first time in his career, have just open look after open look after open look. And he, like,
Oh,
you
you
could,
say Utah. I'm sorry, I was thinking Utah.
no, his
It's
name
late
is
in the
Utah.
show. Yes, I just call him Watanabe. That's a fun name.
No, Utah, baby. Um, do we
What
want to
else?
talk Joe Orlando? Because I think you think they're
No,
much more relevant.
no.
Oh, so you're finally going to admit that the Utah.
Joe Ingles is too far gone. He's as slow as a 35-year-old it could be. He was slow when he was 30. He's they
Well,
got they got
he can
some
make a
money.
bucket. He's a bucket.
No, not a bucket like you're describing. I think that he was
He can
less
make a bucket.
efficient. He was less efficient last year than the previous two. I don't want to spend too much time on him. I will say this is another situation like Detroit where they got cash sitting around. We got to give it to someone. So they go, hey, Joe, you wanna make 10 million or you want to go sign for vet minimum on the Bucks? He was like, I'll just take the money.
All right. Trey Jones.
Trey Jones
Oh,
has been with Washington.
he is signing with the Spurs, or at least he
Oh, am I
agreed to
thinking
do.
about someone else? Oh,
Yes.
Tyus Jones. Oh, that's the brother. That's the brother. Okay.
Yes. He agreed to a deal with the Spurs. Cool.
Was he already there though? He was already
He
there.
did, but he's like this is also kind of like the Austin Reeves. He's a restricted free agent, so they
Mhm.
just made him a deal. I think
Yeah,
he has agreed to it though with them.
it's a good guard. Both of them, the brothers. Yep.
Throw it in the chat. Did we miss any other deals that have come through? Because if not, let's just
Jones, New Orleans, they re-signed him. Long run, stretch, not stretch, but long defender, slasher. It's a good re-signing for New Orleans to stay athletic. They gave him some pretty decent offer. I want to say 4 years in the 48 million range, something like that. But yeah, I don't see it in the list. But he's that happened about a day and a half ago. So I don't think that's New Orleans. The only thing worth talking about them is when and if Zion will ever play again. So until then, they got
he will
young
play.
talent. I know.
Zion will play. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah,
We got about 10 minutes left. So there
no
have been a
doubt.
lot of signings. We'll continue to address some signings as they come on. We've talked a lot of the main guys already. So I want to just kind of go back to our conversation around D'Angelo because we threw out a lot of scenarios that are beneficial to the Lakers. But like, where's to you the ideal landing spot for D'Angelo Russell?
Uh, I think similar to whatchamacallit. What did I say? Uh, Similar to somewhere where Karis LeVert would go, because I think D'Angelo is a guy who can't play without the ball in his hands, and he also probably doesn't want to be in a situation where he's overwhelmed by too much pressure from the guys who are going to be in his face. So, if you're looking for a team like the Pistons. You're looking for a team like the Pacers. Or guess what? You say, we really need you. We really need you. Like, let's just start fresh. The 76ers, where they had a falling out with their other point guard. New coach is like, look, we're going to build around you. Even though we have our MVP, like the ball will be in your hands. Those are the kind of things where he needs some positive reinforcement. So he can go out and be the talent that he is, because he's very talented. But the league is very guard heavy right now. So with him being a combo guard, he has to figure out where he would be in a situation where he can dribble a lot. For instance, the Raptors. I forget who would be the two guard, but going to a team where their
Scotty
primary
Barnes.
point guard, one more time,
Scotty
Scotty
Barnes.
Barnes. That let's just say Scotty Barnes wasn't there. Going to a team where their primary point guard, the short guy in their roster, is a more of a shooting guard. A Derek Fisher. That type of profile. It would fit where you have this bigger 6'5" ball handler that can come in and be the player that he is. There aren't that many spots, but again, if he wants to make his money, it's either re-sign with the Lakers, which I think would be bad for them, or try to make it work with the 76ers.
Maybe. I just think that, and you might not
Or the
agree with this one.
Blazers. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You might not agree with this one, but I actually think that he could be a very interesting fit with Jimmy Butler and Miami. And while Jimmy does require the ball, and he is not
Yeah,
great, he is not great at running plays. That's what I really learned about
I
watching
agree.
Jimmy. He is really good at half court one-on-one basketball, but I think I would be interested to see how it worked with him and D'Angelo together. I'm not saying it would work, but it could be an interesting pairing.
I agree. I agree. I think that they don't have a point guard anymore, Vincent. I mean, they have a lot of combo guards from Jimmy to Oladipo. Where Struce is a small forward shooting guard. Hero is a point guard shooting guard. To have a
Hero's
guy
my
that
point. I would never trust Tyler Hero to like
to
consistently dribble
to
the
bring the
ball.
ball up.
No,
He has
I would
enough.
not.
I have enough confidence for him to bring the
Not
ball up,
consistently.
but not to play make for himself.
I would do it on like a possession.
Okay.
That
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like I'm
Okay.
not gonna like, hey, this lineup for the next 6 minutes is gonna be Tyler dictating the offense.
No, well,
I
the
would
reason why is because Jimmy Butler is 6'6", so he would be the point guard, but the two people in the 1 and 2 position would be Hero and Struce, for instance. So it'd be Hero, Struce, and Jimmy. Who's
I
going to
see.
be a primary ball handler? It would be Jimmy.
Okay.
Same in the same profile that the Lakers have. So he needs to go somewhere where he would fit in a similar profile with the Lakers, ball dominant, or either a shooting point guard or maybe a ball dominant small forward where he can be that off ball handler. That's why he actually did fit with the Warriors, because Steph Curry likes to play shooting guard. And so he would be like, "You want to bring it up, Steph, or should I?" So your Heat situation, I think, gives them a more consistent ball handler and allows Hero and Struce to be the wing that they naturally are.
Yeah.
But now that Vincent's gone, it's a big problem for them, especially with Oladipo being on one leg most of the season.
So the other really big uh free agent, and there are plenty others we haven't even really touched the surface on, is
Yeah.
Fred VanVleet. I wanted to touch on him. This is one that's frankly scared me. I'm not sold that he is like, oh, this is the missing piece for the Lakers. I think he again falls into that category of I've won a championship and I'm kind of good. I want my payday. I believe he was also undrafted. So it's like he hasn't been able to get those like max contracts the way some of the like lottery picks, first round picks are able to dictate and get. So I'm expecting him to go after money, in which case, like he's going to Houston. That's long been what's been speculated to. I also think it for Houston makes a lot more sense. Again, before the James Harden opting into his contract, it was either like, hey, go get Fred VanVleet and then a couple other pieces, or just dump it all on Harden. I liked the idea of, okay, get Fred, get Dylan Brooks, get like one more piece. You could start to build a nice team there.
I just have to disagree with that because I feel like they have Kevin Porter and Jalen Green, and then they drafted Amen Thompson. Like they got their guards. Like, and even though they're young and obviously not good enough to be, you know, carry a winning team, Green averaged 22 points a game and Kevin Porter averaged 19. There's no reason to overpay for veteran guards. Say, oh, we're going to come in and bring rings now. Van Vliet has the bird rights with Toronto. He should stay right there and say, hey, I want 5 years. I want 5 years. You give me the max. You can pay me more than anyone because you can give me that extra year. Don't you want me on your team? I've been loyal to you. I've been consistent. I don't think he's going anywhere. And so I understand the potential playing, moving pieces. He's not there. He's already not going to win in Toronto anyways, and he can maximize his pay. That's where he should stay. That's my opinion.
Do you like if there's a sign and trade? Do you think A, he goes to Miami, and B, does Miami send Kyle Lowry back to
Mm,
Toronto
no,
with that sign and trade?
no, I don't think that they have the. I don't think that there is a reason for Fred VanVleet to pursue any sort of sign and trade. I just think that he has won his championship. He's young enough to pursue that one big money deal. I don't think that there's incentive for Toronto or Miami to give up all. It just seems so far fetched. I understand we want to focus on Van Vliet was this star and we want to see the star th- thrive in a winning environment. Sometimes guys just go collect their paycheck on a team that they'll disappear on, and I think that will be Fred.
All right. Let's do this quick because we only have a couple of minutes left.
Do you want to talk about what's his name at all? Brooke Lopez. What are your thoughts on him? Is he going to the
I want him
Lakers?
on the Lakers. I want him on the
Is
Lakers.
do you
Let's
think do you think that's actually happening? Like, do
yeah.
you think that's a 50-50? Okay.
I genuinely like the Lakers need a center. Like
Yep. Yep.
there's no hiding that. And that's the best center on the market. And it's not like you got to give him a max deal
Nope.
level of center.
He
And
would
I
probably
think
expect 20. I don't think he's going to get 20 anywhere.
no,
So he gets a mid-level exception, 12,
yeah,
12
yep,
something million.
yep.
Okay.
I genuinely think he will take that contract with the Lakers.
And it fits. Yep.
Russell Westbrook.
He can only be offered 3.8 million by the Clippers.
I think he goes to Chicago.
Okay.
Which
Which we
is
were
what you
talking about.
wanted.
What
You
did I
had
say
brought
that? I
that
think I
up.
said that. Yeah.
You were the one that brought that up after he got bought out by Utah.
Best
I
situation.
don't see a world where the Clippers are bringing him back. I think the Clippers want to blow this team up. I'm buying into those rumors a little bit,
They
and I
may get
think
Harden. Yeah.
and I think as a result, there's a world. I don't think he warrants this, but there's a world if they actually are in the Harden sweepstakes, they're trying to not send PG.
PG. Ooh.
They're trying to literally have it be
Oh.
Harden, PG, Kawhi. So
Oh.
there's a world where Westbrook could be a part of that sign and trade because like
Okay.
so that is an avenue where I see. But I think if he just signs outright, 1 year deal with Chicago
Chicago.
as a
One
Lonzo.
year mid level. I don't know if they have it available, but yeah, give him 12 million. Put them with they have four really good shooting guards. Let's get a potential shot create an actual true point guard in the mix. I think it will benefit him. Who
Let's
else?
talk Jordan Clarkson real quick, and then this will be. Or is there someone else you'd want to talk?
No, that's great. That's great. Jordan
This
Clarkson.
will be the last one.
Yeah.
Um, all right. I crazy idea. I don't think he comes. I wouldn't hate him on the Lakers. I think he could be a really cool complementary piece, especially now that we got Gabe Vincent. Bring back Schroeder again. Like this is a universe where we don't get James Harden, nor do we get Dame Lillard. I think that could be a like serviceable backcourt. Um, Another idea. Don't hate me for this one though. The Wizards. I think him, Kuzma, and Poole can make a really interesting trio for the Wizards if they want to try to cash in right now quick. But I don't think the Wizards will. I think the Wizards are going to sort of let those two settle in and then go out and find that last piece to bring in with them.
I don't know the salary profile of them bringing in another big chunk of money. I think that Jordan Clarkson could warrant 25 if Draymond Green can warrant 25 million, Jordan Clarkson can.
He can,
And
but I think if he wants a championship, will be taking a 15 million or less deal.
I don't think he wants a championship. I think he wants to get paid. I mean, the guy has, I remember seeing that, I put this in our comments, black fingernails in Utah. I don't think that it fits his personality. Dude is a little more Hollywood or grunge or punk than Utah would offer. So I do think that, yeah, going to Washington, D.C. could benefit his personality. But I do think that wherever he goes, it's just got to be a big city, and they got to at least be able to pay 20 million. That's how I see it. And maybe a short contract, maybe a 2 year something. I think that these guys at 29 years old, 30 years old want a little longer, but seems like they're accepting these 2 year, 3 year deals. Good luck to them, because if they get hurt, it could turn out for the worse for them.
Maybe. All right, let's take Garrick Wilson's question.
Who's
Did
Woods?
Christian Woods for the
Oh,
Mavs?
that's a good one.
I don't think he signed anywhere.
Woods is a weird one, and Jabril, who was commenting on this spreadsheet with us, I don't know if you said it or he said it. Woods doesn't play defense, and he's very, very offensive oriented and very good, but it seems like he's only good in bad situations. He is good in Detroit, he's good in Houston, kind of disappeared in Dallas. In my opinion, if he wants to continue his legitimacy, he continues in a losing format. The Heat with Bam there already couldn't be any worse for him. So find a team that is lacking in with a big man, that maybe borderline playoff or even a lottery team, and go make your money. Maybe it's the best team I could see. I don't know. No, the Sacramento Kings have a
See,
what's his name? Sabonis.
I'm
I
gonna,
don't
I'm gonna make this way simpler.
go.
Not to cut you off, but
No, go. We don't have much time.
we've talked a lot today about like certain players who are like they're a puzzle piece. This is like a piece that moves your needle from maybe we're in the conference finals if we get a good draw and have a good run versus like we are playing for the finals. We are playing for a shot at the championship. Christian Wood does not do that for any team in the NBA.
I think he goes back to Houston.
No, that's my take on Christian Wood personally.
They have money to pay him. Yeah. Okay. So
You know
you're saying Houston. Go.
You know who does move the needle, who we didn't talk about. I'm going to be interested to see who wants him though. Dylan Brooks. Like, I don't like him. I think he's a punk, but also he's my punk. He's my punk. When he's on your team, he's like that Pat Beverly type of punk, where like you hate him when you play against him, but also Pat Beverly didn't fucking address this. Mark Goodwin, I hope you're fucking here after you bozos trade away Marcus Smart. Who do you guys get rumored linked with? Oh, Pat Beverly. Oh, we might sign Pat Beverly. So you're telling me you want older, shittier, worse Marcus Smart? Got it. Tell me you don't miss your ex. Tell me you don't miss your ex.
I think they traded up and they're going to back up the profile for him. In terms of Dylan Brooks, in my opinion, he ruined his reputation. He's going to have to take a step back if he wants to continue making his money. And I think that he will end up getting himself about $16 million a year, maybe $14 million a year, going to a bad team who can pay him, Rockets or Magic. And he's a good player. He's not extremely efficient, but he puts up decent numbers. Those teams could use him, and he'll disappear. Maybe in 4 years he'll come back. Oh my gosh, he's a star. He'll go back to being a high profile player, but he's going to go in NBA purgatory for a minute.
Alrighty, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Bitcoin Ballers podcast. I'm sure there will be plenty more deals coming in that we will be talking about. We're going to figure out when we'll be back. We'll have a guest on next time we're on. But until then, enjoy yourselves. Feel free to join the Telegram to keep the conversations alive and going. Thank you all for tuning in, and make sure if you're not subscribed,